and it still pains me to say that, right? I can't even say the Eagles are Super Bowl champions. It still doesn't feel right, Beck.
Yeah, it's not so much the team as the fans. I just hate to see people from Philadelphia happy. It's just a thing, you know.
What what number did you wear with the Eagles?
I wore Travis Kelsey's number. No, I mean Jason Kelsey's number, 62.
Oh, I thought you wore. Oh, you wore 62 for the Eagles too.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the first time I put on an Eagles game and I saw people wearing a 62 jersey in the stands, and I was like, "Damn, they're wearing my jersey, dude!" And then it was Kelsey. So,
I looked up something the other day. It said you wore number 73 somewhere. Where did that come from?
could have been with the Jets. The Jets, I had a funky number. I might have wore it for preseason, but I was 62 in the regular season for the Bucs and the Eagles.
Did you play any preseason games for any other teams?
I played one preseason game for the Jets and boogered up my ankle. I finished the game, but I just happened to be playing against a terrible football player, so I was able to finish. Then Denver, I got to training camp, and it was probably the third practice, and that was it. I called it quits.
It's funny that you say Denver. You know who I saw over the weekend was Stink, Mark Schlereth. Uh, his son is the pitching coach at USF. So he came down and he was at all. I saw him Friday and I saw him Saturday. Probably there on Sunday as well. But yeah, he looks good, man. He's taking it easy. You're walking down the steps like every offensive lineman, but he looks pretty good.
Well, Stinkers was a guy who kind of embraced me a little bit when I got there. Not everybody does that, and he was one of those guys that kind of brought you under his wing and was teaching me the ways. And I got nothing but love for Stink. I mean, he was on one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum was like Bill Romanowski, who was the biggest asshole out there. So me and Stink were cool. I'm a big fan.
What do you look at when you're looking at this combine? Because I want to hear from you. I think sometimes we make too much out of what's going on at the combine because people eliminate what they just saw on tape for 3-4 years, and now they go, "Wow, this guy can run in a straight line or can do this cone drill." I've always said that the combine can help you make an argument, but if it's the only thing to make an argument, I don't think you can ignore the tape, or vice versa, right? Like I think if a guy doesn't test out necessarily well, but he's been phenomenal, like I don't know, I might lean in that direction towards the film. What say you when we get to this point of year and now we're judging guys not based on what they did in their college careers, but how they look like in cutoff shirts and shorts?
For me, if I was a scout, I would embrace the combine to meet these young kids and see what they're all about and be in the same room with them and see how they deal with people. But I swear on everything, what they do on that field means absolutely nothing to me. Okay, because like if you're gonna draft a guy in the first round, he's a wide receiver, and you're like, well, he's gonna be the fifth pick in the draft, and he goes out there and runs a 4.6. Okay, I don't know if that's ever happened. Like, if you're that great, you're not gonna be slow, okay? If you're a DB and you run a 4.6, your film is not gonna be great because you probably can't cover those 4.3 guys. So, and if anything, people up their stock, and I'm okay with that. But to like the people that get discovered in the combine almost never work. Like, oh my God, so and so, who is that? Oh, he's a wide receiver. He ran a 4.2. What was his stats? So he only caught 20 balls in college. Then don't draft him. If he
Mhm.
runs a 4.2 and he didn't catch 65 balls in college, then he's not a great receiver. So the statistics are really there for anomalies, and there's not a lot of them out there.
Yeah, I remember John Ross, the wide receiver that the Bengals picked years ago, a top 10 pick. And it was like, look how fast he was at the combine. It was just like, what does that even matter?
Yeah.
Like, you're not drafting a track team, you're drafting a wide receiver. There's so much more that goes into it. When you look at this Buccaneers team, and I look at a guy, I don't know if you saw him, Nick Eamon. He was a guy that came out of South Carolina. A lot of people had him as the second safety. Ian, 11'6" on the broad jump, 43-inch vertical, ran a 4.38 and he's 6'3", 220. This guy is a house, and
Mhm.
he's quick, and he did, he's a captain for South Carolina, good, obviously playing in the SEC, and they had him even before the combine as a guy that's either the first or second safety. If he's there for the Bucs at 19, would you take him knowing that safety is not probably the top three positions on the defensive side of the ball? You want an edge rusher, you want a corner, you want an inside linebacker, whether or not Donovan or David comes back or not. But you got rid of Jordan Whitehead. And I look at it and you bring in Eamon Worry. If he's that nasty, if he's a bad dude, and you link up him and Antoine Winfield Jr., you might have the best safety tandem in the game. Would you be for or against that pick at 19?
Oh, I haven't watched him play. I don't know how good or bad the kid is. But if you talk about a position, um, I hate the narrative that this position is more important than another position.
Right.
I can't stand that, because if the kid can play and you can plug him in as a safety, as a starter, I mean, you can go get a will linebacker or go get a rusher in free agency. So if you can get a young football player that hopefully can start for you for 6 years, maybe 10 years, I like to go out and get them. You know, do the Bucs have priorities? Sure they do. But if you need an edge rusher and then your pick comes up and there's nobody worthy of that pick, then go get the best player. The Bucs aren't one player away from doing anything. They could use 4, 5, 6 players. So get the best player available.
Go watch that tape, brother, when you get a chance. When we get off, go watch Nick Eamon Worry. He's one of those guys, and I watch and I go, Ian's going to like this guy. He's a bad dude.
I watch a little bit. Of it, and I can watch somebody's film and see whether I like them a lot pretty
right away.
quickly.
It don't take long, right?
No, it doesn't. Now, in order for me to say he's going to be a successful NFL player, it takes me a while, but I mean, I like what I see. I like what I see in the very limited film that I've seen.
So I watched you earlier today when you weren't looking. And that's I put on our good buddy Mike Calta. His show, and all of a sudden I turn it on. You guys are talking, and I look away. I look back, and you guys are playing Redneck Bingo, and he's playing country music while you were there. Was that just because you were there?
No, they play Redneck Bingo every once in a while when they're giving away prizes. You know how big of a country music fan I am.
I know. I was like, wow, they perfect like storm here for you.
Unbelievable synergy. I show up every Monday. Mike, who's a brother of mine, literally said, "Yo, dude, if you want to just pop in." And I said, "Well, I get a massage every Monday morning." He goes, "Just pop in." So, like, I've been doing it for years. So it's not a slated thing. I don't know if they expect me, but I just kind of pop in every Monday. They haven't told me to stop, so I'm going to continue to go.
Yeah, and I've been watching it more and more, like, when I'm not driving as much in the morning because I do the podcast at the house, because I usually listen to it most mornings. I pop it now on YouTube. I watch it, the video, and it's just so funny. Just some of the calls that they bring in, and then to have you on, it was like the perfect storm. And then your country music aficionado like you are. Who's your favorite country star of all time? Do you have one?
My favorite country star of all time, and I don't think I've ever been asked this question, which would make you semi-intelligent, I guess. But I think Bonnie Raitt. Is she country?
Bonnie Raitt.
I find her sexy, and she had that one slow. She has that one slow song that's real cool, so I like Bonnie Raitt.
I wondered if it had absolutely nothing to do with music and how she looked. So yeah,
she's cute.
Pretty standard. Let me ask you this, and we'll get back to football in a second. Did the whole John Cena turning heel thing cross any of your world, whether it was on social media or anything at the cafe?
You'd be shocked how limited the cross anything is in a cafe. There's not a lot. There's not a lot of sports. Sports and Kava and Kratom don't really go together. I heard about it on the Mike Calter show this morning.
Wow, they talked about it.
Yeah, Gio's a big wrestling fan, and
nice.
Listen, I like wrestling. I don't say I love wrestling. I couldn't have told you if Cena was a heel or good. I don't know. But he's a hometown guy, and I heard The Rock was there. So I don't think I've ever seen The Rock wrestle. That's how sad that is. You know what I mean? So maybe I should get back into it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so wild watching a Saturday night, and The Rock was just like,
yep.
And then John Cena just kicked Cody Rhodes in the balls, and they're comparing it to when Hulk Hogan became a bad guy back in 1996 at the Bash at the Beach. And we remember our guy Ron Diaz was actually in the Bash on the Beach a couple of years before that, trying to hit people with a chair, and Ron had that sick mullet. Did you know, were you on the air with Ron when he was in his mullet phase or no?
I wouldn't. He didn't like to call it. He called it a power. I think he called it a power mullet. But he was on the back end of it. I wouldn't say full mullet. Was Ron in WrestleMania?
Not WrestleMania, because he was involved with WCW, so that was Bash
Okay.
at the Beach, a little smaller than some of the local stuff. But I
Okay.
remember I never knew that Ron had a mullet, and
Oh
then
yeah, power
but
mullet.
a couple of years into being involved with the show, I ran in there during one of the breaks, and I was like, Ron, I didn't know this was you, and he just started laughing. He's like, yeah, man, that was my thing. I was like, holy shit, man, that's
Well,
like
Ron, there's some old pictures of Ron, power mullet, cut off shirt, biking shorts. Not exactly a 2025 look, but I guess that was in back in the day.
love it. I love it. Some news that we just saw a little earlier is that the Bengals have released Alex Kappa to free up some more cap space. I know you and I probably don't watch a ton of Alex Kappa tape, but we've heard that he's kind of had a little bit of a downfall. What do you think about him possibly returning to the Buccaneers? I know it's tough without watching tape, but I mean, do you think the Bucs would kick the tires on that?
I think it's a possibility.
Mhm.
If they need a guard, Cody Mauk,
And they do. They need another guard because right
absolutely
now four out of fifth. So we don't know if Ben Bredesen's going to come back, but we know
correct.
Malk Barton and then Wirfs and Gedke on the outside.
My thing is, I don't know if Kappa can flip to left guard. I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe he can. I wasn't able to do it. So if Cody Mauk is the right guard and Kappa can only play right guard, maybe it won't fit. But if somebody who can pencil in, he's gonna fit in the meeting room. He has a future. He has a history here. I've never heard anything bad about Kappa, and he had a C on his chest over there in Cincinnati. So he had a pretty darn good career. So I mean, the kid has had an unbelievable career, and I got somebody sent me the other day the all-time starters Buccaneer offensive lineman, and I'm still number 10. So
Nice.
I don't want too many people coming back and taking me off the list. I
Let me,
think Tristan Wirfs is gonna probably bump me off the list here pretty quick.
yeah, for sure. Let me ask you this: you've always told me that going from right guard to left guard was just like learning how to write with your other hand and throw with another hand, just completely different.
Hmm.
I still don't think enough is made of the job that Luke Gedeke has done going from left guard to right tackle. Right, it's one thing, and I've told people this. I can't believe people don't talk about it more. It's one thing to go from the left side of the line of scrimmage to the right, but he's also doing the inverse of what we see now. We see guys that were 3-year starters at left tackle, like, oh, your arms aren't long enough, or oh, you're probably going to be a guard. Guys never go out. Guys 98, 99% of the time go closer to the ball because it's so much more difficult. Is that really I don't want to be, speaking hyperbole here, but you're an offensive lineman, so I think it's a
Hmm.
perfect guy to ask. I think it is one of the most kind of impressive things that I've ever seen from an offensive lineman to go not just from guard to tackle, but from one side to the other.
What's funny, I had this conversation with Tony Mayberry, who played center here for 9 years, 10 years, I think, but started for 9. Um, I was talking about how much harder tackle is, and it's not like the job is harder. They're just there's you're playing against long dudes out there, so you have to have, you know, your structure has to be a certain way. Like my arms weren't long enough to be blocking Javon Curse out there. You know what I'm saying? And I was talking about how much harder tackle was, and he looked at me and he goes, "For you," and he goes, "For other people, it's easier out there." And I never thought about that. It makes sense. Playing in a guard, it's almost like a phone booth fight all the time. It's a lot more physical. Um, it's a different animal. So for me, I couldn't play tackle and I couldn't play center. Tony couldn't play guard and he couldn't play tackle. Most linemen can't play guard tackle, and some are
Mhm.
just able to do it. If you're playing right to left or switching right to left, I wasn't able to do it. When I was in college, I switched from right to left, but I wasn't blocking anybody who was better than me.
Right.
Now, when I was in the league for 9 years and I'm playing on the right side, then you just learn how to swing a golf club one way. Whereas at the beginning, if I was swinging both ways, then I might be able to switch. But once you go one way for 9 years, you're not doing the other way. And Gedeke switched so early in his career that he was able to revert back to his college days and has done it seamless. And then there's Tristan Wirfs, who probably can play center and maybe tight end and quarterback too if he wants to.
I, they probably have the best bookends in the National Football League when you think about it. And I know there's other teams. You look at the Eagles, and I know there's other teams out there we don't know them off the top of our heads. But I mean, the Buccaneers really are blessed to have Tristan Wirfs on the left and Luke Gedeke on the right, aren't they?
More blessed than we know. I don't remember Gedeke's name really mentioned a whole lot last year. You know what I think of Tristan Wirfs? It doesn't matter what I think of Tristan Wirfs. I mean, Pro Football Focus. I don't even know if they grade him anymore. He just plus, 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 plus. He don't get many. If he gets 2 minuses in a game, I worry a little bit about Tristan's health. You don't get more, healthy as you get older. I know he has a bad ankle. It a little bit last year. Other than that, he's on a direct path to the Hall of Fame. But to have 2 tackles that you depend on like that, a rookie center, Cody Mack, who is not going to get worse. Cody Mack maybe at times sticks out as maybe the weak link, but he's a young football player. He's getting better. He'll be 20% better this year. So
And he's
there's a good
grimy too. He's
yeah, I
grimy
mean,
too.
oh, no, he's real grimy. Looks grimy the whole 9 yards. But this year, this offensive line has the potential to be better, and you really don't want to. You don't say that every year.
I know another thing when it comes to the Buccaneers and with this team, we're looking at the defensive side of the ball and the opportunity to go out and would you go out and trade for a big name knowing that it would cost you draft capital and having to pay that guy? Would you go after a guy like Khalil Mack? Because that's the big name that we're hearing a lot. Let's just focus on that part. Would you go if it was palatable for the Buccaneers? 1-year deal, $6 to $10 million. Would you bring in a guy like Khalil Mack, knowing that his numbers dropped off from 23 to 24 on a better team with some good players around him on defense?
Sometimes, look, $6 to $10 million doesn't even sound like a lot of money anymore.
Mhm.
But sometimes you just need attitude in your locker room. Okay, Hardy Nickerson. Hardy Nickerson was a great football player, but he brought attitude in the locker room, and it really rubbed off on a lot of players and really that whole side of the defense. I know Khalil Mack's going to bring some sort of attitude. If I asked you who the attitude of our defense was last year, there's not, whoever you say, I would say it's not enough. Okay, there's got to be somebody that everybody feeds off of, and that doesn't mean that Khalil Mack's going to be that guy, but I know he has been that guy before. Even some guy like Levante David, who has been a fantastic borderline Hall of Fame football player. I don't know if he's the pulse. Okay, he's just a great football player. Sometimes you need a mean, nasty guy that everybody's looking at. Look at that son of a bitch play. James Harrison. James Harrison
Right.
wasn't necessarily the best player, but I think you have James Harrison on your team. It makes everybody a little meaner. So I think,
He's a tone setter.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's what Khalil Mack is. It would have been nice to get him 3 years ago, but if you bring him in and he can still get 8 sacks, 8 sacks leads his team, brother.
Yeah, I just looked at what his possible salary is going to be for this year. What do you think it is? At 34, he just turned 34.
Or we have to adopt his salary too.
Yeah,
15 more, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20 more than 20. Yeah,
23.6.
yeah, we're good. That's a lot of money, dog. Nah, dog.
We good. No,
You
we
talk
good. We
about
good.
5 to 10, 5, 10, and 23 are not close.
I was trying to hope. Yeah, man, bring it in.
uh,
Let's do it. I mean, my God, man. Like,
23. 23, you got to get a dozen sacks for 23 million. You know what I mean? You got to earn that, brother.
it's crazy, man. Because even if it goes down, I know the Bucs are being linked with them last year, but I mean, God, man. All right, let's say it's not that high. You go to 15. Would 15 be too much?
Still sounds like a lot of money
That's
to
a
me.
lot,
But
man.
I hate to even comment on money. If Jason Light has the money, go give it to him. And like I said, there's a ways around things and restructuring. If you think he's the piece, 15 million is not enough to make you not go after Khalil Mack.
I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough because when you look at the number, like you said, guys don't get healthier, but they also don't get more productive as they get older either, right? When you go from a double-digit sack guy to a single sack guy, I don't know. I mean, the ceiling for him or what he can bring, I don't know. Anything over like 12, I'm like, ugh, I
Yeah,
don't
but
know, man.
I mean, are we in a position to poo-poo a 9-sack guy? I tell you what, in the last 20 years, we haven't had a lot of 9-sack guys.
Yeah.
Gerald McCoy never did it. JTS never did it. I mean, other than Shaq Barrett, a couple great years, we don't really have that. 9 sacks leads this team most of the years, so I don't want to turn my nose up at 9 sacks. I don't know how many you had last year.
You know what we're gonna do is we're gonna get you on recording to say something nice about Gerald McCoy. We're gonna do that. Do you think Gerald McCoy should be in the Bucs Ring of Honor?
Yes,
No doubt about it.
100%.
Why not? Or why so? Because you have been one of those people that have been a staunch just reality check when it comes to how people assess Gerald McCoy. But
Yeah.
you've also been very firm in that, no doubt, without hesitation, he should be in the Bucs Ring of Honor.
I mean, listen, there's a criteria to everything, right?
Mhm.
Paul Gruber's in the Ring of Honor. How the hell you put Paul Gruber in the Ring of Honor? You don't put Gerald McCoy. Paul Gruber has no Pro Bowls. No, never was All Pro. Gerald McCoy was Pro Bowl 6 years, 6 years. Do I think he was an overrated football player? 100%. I never said he was a bad football player. I just don't think he was as good as people made him out to be. And as far as being a leader, I just thought he was a bottom of the barrel leader because I played with leaders and they never said the word leader. And even today, he's on the Mike Calter show talking about in the Gerald era. What? The Gerald era? Shame. Shame on you. Gerald era. Get out of here.
The Gerald era. I was there for
Get
that
out
era.
of here. Get out of here.
We talked a lot about Batman and Superman. We had a good time. I like Gerald.
That's your boy. That's your boy. I
He's
know
always
you
been
like him.
He's
That's
always
why
been nice to me.
I know
always
he's
been
nice to
me.
everybody, Jay. That's why he hypnotizes you. He hypnotized Mike Calter too. He
Not-
hypnotized. He put him. He did. And you guys get hypnotized. You think he's good. He's not.
He's a hypnotizer.
Yeah.
I wonder if he doesn't. I've tried to hit him up to come on the show a couple times. I wonder if he doesn't because of our friendship. I hope that's not the case.
I would doubt that very much. I don't even know if he knows we ever did a show together. I mean, he blocked me.
Knows. He
blocked me on social media a long time ago.
Oh.
He's a very sensitive young man. He's very, very sensitive. Some places they call it bitch, but I say sensitive.
No, don't say that about Gerald.
Some people say bitch, not me. I say sensitive. Some people say bitch.
I like Gerald. And listen, clearly. I can see both sides. Because you and I, after a game one time back when you lived in where you used to live, we watched the entire football game over after everybody left. And you showed me, look at this. And there was a lot of merit and there was a basis from where you were coming from when it came to Gerald about him being out of the screen and out of the frame of the play. So it didn't derive from anything personal. It was just one of the things that you saw.
No, it's not personal. And every year that I was on sports radio that Gerald McCoy was here, the narrative was exactly the same in the preseason. Now that Gerald he's going to get double-digit sacks every year. Now that Gerald great rushers don't need shit. Great rushers get a dozen sacks just because. And he was never that guy. Never.
What do you guys got coming up this week at the Dignitary Cafe?
This week we have nothing crazy. We have our specials every week. Like I said, we have the best carver and kratom in town. We're 420 friendly back here, and poker night on Thursday. You coming to hang out Thursday? We need that money.
I'll be at the Lightning game, buddy.
Next come on, man.
Definitely got to get out there. Where's our guy Bird at?
Yeah, Bird's back. Josh cleaned up last week. Josh killed everybody. So
our guy Josh.
Yeah, we got to get him back. You got to get him.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to bring in the ringer, the wretch.
No. Yeah, man.
Sounds good. At Ian Beckles, check him out on all social media platforms. Dignitary Cafe, 4817 South West Shore Boulevard, and of course, the card-carrying member, the vice president of the Gerald McCoy fan club, Ian Beckles. All right, my brother. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.
One love, kid.
Look.